Alright, welcome back to part 2, and we're going to tackle our callings now. So we got done with our heroic culture, and now we need to go to callings. So if I go down here, this is the table of contents for the core rulebook. I'm going to go down to callings. I need to decide which type of calling I want. Callings are actually quite simple. You know what? I totally forgot about something in the heroic cultures thing. So I'm going to go back up to here to this. And I need to make sure to make one of these. I get to favor one of these. Craft as a dwarf. Craft or travel. To do this, I'm going to go back here. And I'm just going to hold Alt. And I'm going to make travel favored. It just puts an underline under there. And that means it rolls 2d12 and I get to pick. And it takes the higher of the two. That's it. So that's all I forgot. So I'm glad that didn't affect anything. And I'll go back to here. I'll go back to callings. I don't want to take too much time trading the look around. So different callings: captain, champion, messenger, scholar, treasure hunter, or warden. I'm going to do a champion because I feel like I am sort of a fighter type of character, and that makes sense for what he does. You deem that there is but one way to oppose the return of the shadow, and that is to conquer it by strength of arms. That sounds about right. So the first thing I do is I favored skills. Choose 2 skills among athletics, awe, and hunting, and mark them favored. So that's the exact same thing I just did, but I get athletics or awe or hunting, or 2 of them. So probably athletics and awe. I don't fancy myself as a hunter, so Alt click. That underlines that. And athletics, click. I'm an athletic fellow, and awe-inspiring, as well as well-traveled. That's me. Additionally, distinctive feature, enemy lore. Enemy lore is not a single distinctive feature. You must select the type of enemies it applies to. Choose from evil men, orcs, spiders, trolls, wargs, and undead. This distinctive feature gives you knowledge of the characteristic habits, strengths, and weaknesses of your chosen enemy. That's pretty sweet. So, I'm going to pick undead. I like the idea that this is a undead hunting dwarf man, or woman, or person. Oh, I need to go here and go to champion. We'll get into shadow path in a second. So, distinctive features, I need to go over here, and I've made a thing called of callings. So distinctive features of callings, boom, and shadow lore. So this would go down in distinctive features. Now, once it's put in here, I can edit it, and I can identify the type of enemy I want to... that's the warden. Maybe I read the wrong one. Champion. Enemy lore, excuse me, not shadow lore. Enemy lore. So, okay. Enemy. Yeah, here we go. That's the one. Okay, so enemy lore. Boom. I'll get rid of this one. So that's Control-Shift-Delete. Boom. There we go. I'm going to go into this one and just designate. Designated enemy type undead. I think that sounds cool. I'll close that. Boom. We've got that guy there. Perfect. And that's done. Alright. So the next thing is Shadow Path. Curse of Vengeance. Individuals who live by the sword are even tempted to draw it, are ever tempted to draw it, either literally or figuratively, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so my shadow path is Curse of Vengeance. So I'm just going to copy and paste this again. Copy and paste. Now, and then I got to scroll up to shadow path and click it there. Now, I know that's weird because it doesn't tell us that much about what this actually does. And that's something that you'd probably get into later in the campaign. I've gone here to character creation and shadow paths. All the shadow paths are detailed in my game. Hopefully the same is true in whatever game you play in, that your lore master has done that work. So I have Curse of Vengeance. Boom. So this gives, once I start gaining shadow and gaining shadow scars, this is the type of thing that would happen. And yeah, So I could go down to notes again if I wanted to keep track of this, and just go here, go shadow path, like that, and then I'm going to just drag this into here, and it will make a button so that next time I go here, oops, oh no, did it just delete it all? This, oh no, it's still there, cool. But if I go back, there will be a button that I can click that will automatically open Curse of Vengeance. So that's pretty handy. Next thing. So that's what I have. And that's it. That's all you have to do for the your calling. Callings are really specific specializations rather than classes. Classes are more defined by the culture you're from, which is sort of interesting. It's totally different than most. All right. Most TTRPGs, usually it's like you pick your culture or your race. I know that, or heritage. I know that a lot of games are getting away from using the word race. I think that's a good idea. But yeah, you pick your heritage, and that's sort of like a light specialization, and then your class is much more the thing that defines you, but it's sort of the opposite in the One Ring. The ability levels of all newly created player heroes can now be raised. So you get 10 points, and this is basically a point buy system. So these are the different things that you can put your skills into. So you can raise your combat proficiencies, you can raise your common skills. I'm definitely going to raise my combat proficiency with my sword. Yeah, with my sword with 6 points. And that's a lot, right? So that's a lot of points, but it means that I get an extra die to my sword, which is really good. And then I could raise and just call it good here. So yeah, I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to raise my axe one as well. So that's it. That's all I got to do. Obviously, if I had chosen to do common skills, it would be a little cheaper to upgrade my my common skills here, and I would have better adventuring traits and skills. But I fancy myself a warrior, so it makes sense that I'd be very good at, fighting. There we go. That's it. Now we need to do starting gear. Now, starting gear is based on your standard of living, which is, I believe, is on page 100 of the core book, and it's a little goofy in the sense that they don't list the prosperity or the they don't list your standard of living with the items because there are exceptions. I think it is only like mail coats of mail and or shields and great shields that really are impacted by this. Other than that, I think you can sort of pick whatever you want. You get one weapon for each thing you have proficiency in. So I have swords, so I could have a long sword, and I have axe, so I could also have axe. I am disappointed that they don't count axes as being able to be thrown. I think that's a mistake. As the lore master, I would say axes can totally be thrown. That would be cool. Maybe this axe, if I wanted it to be thrown, I'd say, I think this is more of like a hatchet or like a hand axe. So maybe it'd do 3 damage rather than 5, and then maybe it would have a injury rating of 16 rather than 18. I'd homebrew that a little bit, but that's fine. I'm not gonna get into that too much right now. So I get a sword, an axe, and any armor that I so choose. So I'm going to go back to here, and I can go to, in the items directory, equipment. We're going to do weapons first. I like the idea of just having a normal sword. So this is going to go under war gear. Again, this is a drag and drop situation. So sword, I gotta equip it. So I click that, and now it's equipped, so I can use it. And I have an axe. Now, if I did want to homebrew this, I could, but I'm not going to do that right now. And before you homebrew anything, talk to your lore master. Don't just start changing things around without asking them. It's, you know, they are the referee of the game, and anything like that needs to go past them. Yeah. So those are my weapons, and now I need to do armor. So armor, so as you add these in, you'll see that your load goes up. So I have two, these are both 2 weight, or 2 load. And that's set against your endurance. Right now, I'm totally fine. I think I would take a mail shirt. I don't want to be too heavy. Although I do get to have any of my... Oh, well, never mind. I'm going to get rid of this guy. I'm going to take this because this isn't 12. This is actually 6 for me because of my... what is it? Cultural blessing, which is super good. So I can go into here and go, this is actually 6 because I am a dwarf. So that's really good because this is protection 4, which is really high. I also have a helm, which I can also have. So I can go here and I can have this as well. So this is actually 2. That's super good. I can just be like this really, really tanky character. And then I need a shield, and I'm totally going to take a shield. Prosperous. I think I could take a great shield, but I'm not going to because they're quite heavy. So I will take just a normal shield. And I'll equip that. And that doesn't add to my armor, it adds to my parry. So I'll have 18 parry total, which is quite good. It just makes it hard for me to hit. And this protects me against getting injured. Now, I don't get to... what is the word? Decrease this. If we go back up to my cultural blessing here, the load rating of any armor you're wearing, rounding fractions up. I didn't have to round any fractions up, including helms, but not shields. So I've done that right. So that's my armor and my weapons, which is pretty sweet. Like I have 16 load for like having really heavy things. Like that's an insanely good heroic culture, or cultural blessing, excuse me. It just makes me really tanky and without being endangered of overloading myself in terms of encumbrance, which is sweet. All right, and I think that's it. That's the whole process of character creation. I know this took about half an hour, but I've done this before and I've led people through it before, so it might take a little longer for you. Oh, no, I'm not done. There's one last thing. Equipment and gear. Depending on how prosperous or what your standard of living is, you get a certain number of useful items. And here is the table for that. So I'm prosperous, so I'd get 3 items that are useful. Now, useful items basically give 1d to whatever skill you designate for them, and it needs to be narratively appropriate. So you can't be like, I have a knife for hunting, and I'm trying to shoot a bow, so I get an extra, an extra dice while shooting this bow because I have this hunting knife. No, that doesn't make sense. But if you're trying to like preserve the skin of this deer that you've just killed, and you're trying to skin it in a way, yeah, maybe that hunting knife would make sense. So yeah, to do that, I think, where did I put this? I think it's under equipment. I haven't enabled it. I asked my players to tell me what their items would be, and then I created the item as the lore master and put it into their inventory. I think that's a good way to do it, just so you don't have, as a lore master, just so you have control over it. A lot of this game is about control. I've been sort of surprised. It gives a lot of onus to the lore master. I'm almost out of time with this video, so I will leave it there. So at the very end of character creation, you tell your lore master which useful items you want to have. They'd make the asset and load it into your equipment, gear at the end. And that's pretty much it. Now, obviously, there's not a lot of narrative about this. So, like, you don't really have a background or anything like that. That's for you to decide. And good luck.